Good morning, good morning. Welcome. It is a Friday. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF. Thank goodness it's Friday. Can you believe it that we are at the end of another week? We're at the end of another week where we are celebrating the reality of being in the land of those who are still above sod, those who are still in the land of the living. Guys, this week has been a very amazing and yet transformative week for me. I hope that it has been a good week for you as well. Right now, you are in tune to the XY Spark podcast, the podcast for men, where we seek to normalize conversations about men's mental health. We wanted to take time to remind you that you can find our podcast on our YouTube channel at XY Spark. You can also like and subscribe and share and comment, please, so that we can know how these episodes have helped you on your day to day journey. We are also right now live on the Podbean app. That's xyspark.podbean.com. Please go there and follow us. Please share your thoughts there. Please suggest some topics that you'd like us to talk about, and let's keep the conversations going. We want to welcome you if you are a first timer to the XY Spark platform. We appreciate you. And we want to say thank you for being a part of a tribe of men and also women, because we do have some women who have been following and listening in on our podcast episodes. So we want to acknowledge all the women who show up here too frequently. Just want to remind you guys that the XY Spark podcast is here live weekday mornings at 5:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So you are more than welcome to participate in our event. We also seek to offer live coaching calls in the moment. So if you're in the space and you want to join, you have a comment, you would like to, just have a conversation with us while we are here, we just wanted you to know that you are more than welcome to do so as well. The caption for our presentation today is Freedom Friday. Freedom Friday. If you are a first timer, want to acknowledge all my new first timers. You are here on TikTok. I see you out there. Welcome. Please type in the chat where you are joining us from. If you're a first timer, we just wanted to say a shout out to you. Okay, shout out to all my TikTok live participants, to my YouTube live participants, and to the Podbean live participants. Thank you. Please keep those hearts and those likes coming. And as we send a shout out to you, we hope that you will have a great experience, and that you'll come back and that you'll tell some more of your friends that they need to become a part of this tribe here on XY Spark, the tribe that's shifting the perspective about men's mental health. And today we want to have a conversation about this, guys. We want to have a conversation about slaves of the stigma, slave of the stigma, because guys, as men, maybe we are enslaved by the stigma because of lack of exposure and understanding about what really is mental health. So I wanted to lay the platform so we can have some more understanding. But before I do that, guys, I wanted to just talk about this reality that, one of the most challenging things that you and I can ever face is to stay in ignorance. One of the hardest cycles to break is a cycle that is encapsulated in ignorance. And for many of us as men, we are enslaved to the stigma about mental health because of how we were cultured, or because of how we were taught. So when we hear the term mental health, we shut down. Many of us as men, when we hear the term mental health, we shut down because we're looking at it through a wrong lens. We've been misinformed or misled for so long by so many different persons, so many different places, so many different advertisements that we're seeing on the television, so many little pocket of conversations from so-called men who would appear to be strong and influential, that we have been embracing this idea, this philosophy, to the place where we have been enslaved by this stigma. Now we want to talk about this enslavement, and we want to sort of clarify some things today. Now, number one, guys, is the word stigma itself, and why we are confronting this idea of the stigma is the word stigma itself means it's a mark of disgrace, right? It's a mark of disgrace. It's associated with so many different things. The stigma is associated with shame. It's associated with disgrace. It's associated with dishonor. It's associated with stain. The word stigma itself, when we hear it, many of us as men, we we sort of turn away from it, as if to say it's a plague. We avoid it. So this stigma about men's mental health, it has created an enslaved mentality because of what it represents: shame, disgrace, and dishonor. So when we are sort of enslaved in this stigma as men, it's hard for us now to seek to get help or to talk about it, because the stigma about mental health oftentimes does not have anything that is positive associated with it. Now, the challenging piece in all of it, guys, is that if as men we are enslaved and we don't know it, right? That's why I like the quote from Garvey, and also Marley spoke about it. That is, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. I want to jump on that to say to you right now, if you're a man and you're listening to this, it's time for you to free yourself, emancipate yourself, let go of these false beliefs that you have been holding on to now for so long at your own detriment. You see, the only one that can free you from the state of ignorance that you're in is yourself. And so, if as men we're going to grow and we're going to be freed from this enslaved mentality, we have got to confront the stigma. Why are we going to confront the stigma? Let me tell you why we're going to confront the stigma, because I want to clear up the misinformed, or the misinformation rather, that we have been holding on to. Let us understand one thing, right? That mental health, according to the World Health Organization, guys, mental health is defined as your state of well-being, right? Mental health is defined as your state of well-being, right? It talks about your ability to cope with stresses in life. It talks about your ability to realize, right? Realizing your true potential. It talks about how you learn well and work well and contribute to the community. That is the meaning of mental health. But we were taught that when you hear the word mental health, it drives sometimes or some of us the fear of God in us, if we can say that here, right? That we turn away from it and we run towards unhealthy lifestyle practices. Like what? Like what? Let me tell you. Like isolating, like denying, like telling ourselves that we're okay when we are not, like showing up in a facade, right? Like giving off a vibe as though we got it all together when we are suffering in silence or dying on the inside, because we don't see it as natural for us as men to talk about our mental health. But talking about our mental health is talking about our well-being. It's talking about healthy ways to cope with stress. It's talking about bringing our true potential to the surface. It's learning now, guys, how to deal with chaos. It's recognizing that if the relationship did not work out, if the marriage did not work out, if the job did not work out, it's not a reason for you to quit and give up and say the world hates you or the world is against you. That's your time to seek out healthy ways to cope with the stress. If you lost a friend to say they took their own life, right? If you lost a partner, if you lost a sibling, of course, all of that is hard to deal with, but it does not mean we should stay enslaved in the trauma. It doesn't mean that we should stay enslaved in the pain. It does not mean that we should stay enslaved in the feeling of betrayal. It does not mean that we should stay locked away in our own world and start to live our lives in unhealthy ways that is hurting our emotional, psychological well being. Women are not as enslaved in the stigma as men. Why? Because women are okay to talk about how they feel. Guys, it's time for us to break free from that enslaved mentality. Recognize that talking about how you feel is not failing the field. Can I say that again? Guys, it's time to recognize that talking about how you feel is not failing the field of masculinity. Because many of us as men, we were misinformed as it relates to what a healthy masculine should be. Many of us as men were misinformed and we don't get it because we're enslaved in the stigma that goes with recognizing that, hey, my mental health needs CPR. Remember this, guys. Knowing is useless without doing. It does not matter how much you know. You get results when you are committed to do. And if you are going to break the stamina of the stigma, if you're going to break out of this enslaved mentality that you have been stuck in as a man, you have got to be willing to do something different, right? Follow through, follow the lead of a large percentage of our women who they are able to stay in touch with their emotions and their feelings and they can talk about it. And as men, we have got to learn now that it's okay to talk about it too. It does not make you less of a man to do that. And if you have that belief that, hey, as a man, I'm not supposed to talk about or acknowledge feelings, that's an enslaved mentality because it is only hurting you. Remember, guys, at the end of the day, your mental health is your responsibility. At the end of the day, it is very important for you to not fear judgment because whether you do it or not, you are going to be judged anyway. Why not be judged for doing something good? You see, society may cause us to believe that if, as a man, I step out of my comfort zone, quote unquote, and ask for help, then that's not the cool thing. That's not the manly thing to do. But what if I were to tell you that that is one of the largest mistakes that society has made because of this belief that society has handed down, or men are suffering, relationships are suffering, our communities are suffering because of this belief that society has handed down. And so many of us as men in ignorance are embracing this idea, not recognizing that it's a self destructive idea. It's a self manipulating idea. It's a denial. It's a let them stay stuck in denial idea. And if, as men, we start breaking this cycle right now, if we decide that I'm no longer a slave to this idea, if you want to judge me, go ahead, judge me, but I'm going to work on my mental health. If you want to see me as weak, that's your problem. I'm going to work on my mental health. If your partner makes you feel like you're not man enough, well, hey, guess what? It's not about what they think about you, it's what you think about you, right? And if somebody's opinion of your manliness is more important than your opinion of your manliness, then you need to work on that too. But the idea is this, that if you're going to heal and if you're going to grow and if you're going to break away from this cycle of mental slavery, then you've got to take ownership of that journey. You've got to be invested in doing the work that is necessary so that you can heal, so that you can be vindicated and change and transform and break away from this cycle. Remember, guys, I reiterate for you that mental health, according to the World Health Organization, is a state of mental well being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their community. End quote. That's the definition of mental health. So, are you ready? Are you ready to commit to breaking the stigma? If you're ready, just type in the chat there, I'm ready. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, just type I'm ready. If you're listening on the podcast, type I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready, guys. And I need you to say it right now to yourself. I need you to type it right now in the chat right here on TikTok. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let us go. Let us take our lives back right now. Let us create a shift. Let us move, guys, in unison. Let us start a momentum. Let us start a wave with men who are saying it's now or never. We are no longer going to stay enslaved to this mentality, this denial. We are ready to do something different. What is that thing? Break away from this stigma. And let's start right now. This is your boy, your men's life coach, Rolando. Thank you so much for joining us here for another one of our podcasts. We are here live weekday mornings at 5:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. The XY Spark podcast is a podcast for men where we seek to normalize conversations about men's mental health. And we just want to say thank you for being present with us this week. We will be joining you again on Monday at 5:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for more conversations like these. If you want to hear more of our podcast, please look for us on Amazon, on iHeart, on Spotify, on Podbean. Follow us on YouTube or on TikTok, on Instagram. We're all over the socials. And we do look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, you guys enjoy your weekend. And I will see you again next time for another lively conversation about men's mental health. Until such time, please remember this, guys, that at XY Spark, we believe that there is a spark in you, and we will see you again next time.